I had one. It's a little bit more of like a living lifestyle thing coupled with, and this
Yeah.
is why I love your stuff, Frank, because I'm such like a minimalist at heart. I would drive the same car for a decade, take care of it. I mean, obviously you want to get yourself cool stuff. You want to have some flashy things here and there if it actually will make you feel good here and there. But I'm much more of a minimalist nature too. And I saw your post the other day talking about you had a picture of you like in those Houston downtown apartments like years ago. And just talked about how you now prefer like a more low key minimalist life. I think you talked about having a Toyota and stuff like that. Talk if you could about the importance of having that. I don't know if you even want to call it like humble or anything. It's not really being humble, but about being able to. It is a skill to be able to live below your means and have everything right in front of you. And for me personally, it's not only a skill, but it's like my peace of mind. Like when I know what I've got in the bank, the kind of money that I have access to, I would rather just be able to feel comfortable in my day-to-day life instead of adding all of these extra things to, as a passive shiny object to keep the dopamine rolling. So I guess if you could talk about your personal thoughts on that, and like why you feel that that's so important to you too.
Yeah, interesting because people who are the flashiest, they tend to be the brokest. Now I can tell you
Yeah.
that when I took those pictures, my income and net worth are not where they are today. I'll tell you that
Right.
right now. So
Right.
it's funny, man. Like the more stable you become, the less you give a fuck about what anybody thinks. I used to like want to buy like these really nice clothes and nice suits, and I still have them, of course. But I've gone to the point where I'm so self-assured in my own self, my own quality of life, that I prefer to just like be like simple shirts, simple car, everything. And when I had those things, like I used to drive Tesla, right?
Mhm.
And like, yeah, it's cool for like 2 weeks. You see all the cool gadgets and shit, but then you recognize that when something goes wrong, you have to miss like 2 days of work. You have to take it
Right.
to Tesla, you have to schedule an appointment, and sometimes the appointments are not available immediately. And if it's like something urgent, then you're left without a car for like 2 weeks. You have to take time off of work to go to do all that, spend money on Uber. And it's just like super. And the thing is, like, with my luck, it's always been like something goes wrong at the time that I need it the most. So it's
Right.
always like that. And it just became like a luxury became a pain in the ass. It did. Like when I lived in downtown Houston, I lived it when the Astros won the World Series 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You think, oh, living in downtown was nice. Let me tell you, on that night when all of Houston is honking their horns and shit, like, yeah, you can't get out of your apartment for like 2 days because they have a whole bunch of
Yeah.
parades and shit. And on every Friday when they have their home games, you can't access your apartment because the streets are closed. Yeah, it became a pain in the ass because there's moments and times that I'm enjoying luxury, but I got shit to do. Like those
Right.
things don't pay themselves. So I got businesses to run, I got people to meet, I got dinners to attend to. So whenever you have to do all these things to pay for that lifestyle, you're not thinking about the luxury in the moment. You're thinking, I got to get shit done. And when you're thinking about getting shit done is when the inconvenience happens. The car breaks down, or you got to take it to Tesla, or there's an Astro game going on, so you can't access your apartment. So now the thing that makes you money to pay for these luxuries now gets eliminated because you can't attend the thing that makes you money because the luxury itself is causing an inconvenience. And then that to me was just like I hated it. I hated this perception that I had to put out that you know that made me feel good about myself because I had to have these nice things to give me confidence. No, 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 no. When I became actually stable and I refocused my attention into the things that actually made me happy, my overall quality of life increased. So like instead of buying the expensive dinners and the expensive gadgets and all this different shit, I put it into like my health and wellness. Now
Mhm.
I train boxing and MMA. And let me tell you something. There's not better confidence that I've gotten wearing a nice suit than the fact now that I can beat somebody up that comes to my
Right.
face. Like like those
Right.
those are things that people don't really they don't you can't compare it. It's a feeling. It's a feeling that I'm describing. That confidence that you have, me being a very simple person, but I've invested time into my wellness and my health and the ability to be a combative person to defend myself, and especially as someone who starts slowly accumulates, influence, status, and wealth, you're gonna need that eventually. So I just put all that attention and resources into myself, and that gave me more confidence than ever driving like a Tesla, right? And it gave me a simple piece of simplicity. It gave me a minimalist lifestyle. And ironically, because I have a very minimal overhead of expenses every month, now I get to do things that give me world experience, right? And I'll give you an example in a second. Like the past year, I've traveled a lot because I don't have overhead expenses. I don't have an apartment that's tying me down. I don't have a mortgage. I don't have a car that I have to attend to. I have now extra resources to go and travel Mexico. I've gone to Mexico. I'm from El Salvador, so I go into El Salvador a couple times. And this past weekend for MLK, I was in Russia. I was in
Wow.
northern Russia. Yeah, I was
Wow.
literally in Russia in St. Petersburg, and it was an amazing experience. And I went to go treat myself. I was with a friend, and her and I went to go have dinner at a really nice restaurant in St. Petersburg. And it was an experience that I paid for because that's something I get to remember. It wasn't me clout chasing or making me feel good about myself because of my low confidence. It was an experience that I get to pay for, and I get to remember that memory. So like that's where I get to allocate my resources to, is doing the things that make me happy. And the fact that like how many people can say, yeah, I'm under 30 and I've been to Russia and I've been to one of the best
Right.
restaurants in Russia. Like that, not many people can say that. But I can say that because that's what like I can do with my resources now, is I get to spend it on things that gives me experience. There you go. Like he just said, buying experience is better than buying things any day. Any day. And I would 100% rather spend very minimal and spend on quality and experiences every now and then and have a fat bag of pulse X and hex than to have a nice car in the driveway just because you feel like you need it or you want it
Hmm.
or you feel like it gives you some sort of status. But man, let me tell you something. You attract the wrong people with that type of stuff too. You don't attract genuine people. You just become yourself. You just make yourself a target.
Yeah.
So like it's a combination of so many different things. And I truly believe you have to kind of get it out of your system for you to come to that conclusion. So some people it takes just 3 months, 6 months to go lavish, go spend their money. Okay, cool. To me, it took a couple of years in my early 20s. I wanted to feel good about myself, so I was buying a whole bunch of shit that I couldn't afford. And and then eventually like I matured. Like it was really when I got into Hex when I was like, no, I don't need this shit. I'd rather just have like 99% of my wealth in here, live low key, spend all money on experiences, and then just nobody knows anything about me and I can live a very minimal lifestyle. That was
Right.
more satisfying than anything else. And like being healthy, being fit, and knowing how to fight, that gave me more confidence than anything that I would ever wear. And I think a lot of people need to get to that point. And hopefully, I mean, one of the things that I want to do with my accounts is like be kind of like a role model on that. It's not just about the money. It's about what you can do with the money.
Yeah.
Put it into yourself, the experiences of traveling. Yeah, like Russia was awesome. I loved Russia, but um, I don't think people have this stereotypes
Hmm.
and what they learn about from what they read or videos and stuff like that. But I think none of that matters until you can say, yeah, I lived it, I was there, and I can tell you my experience,
Right.
right? That's more credible than someone just says it from theory. If
Right.
I tell you, oh, America is the greatest country in the world, but I've never traveled outside the world, then what value does that statement have? But when you say, oh, America is a great country, but I've traveled the world, that's why it's a great country. Like that type of statement carries a lot more weight because it's coming from experience,
Yep.
right? So that's just
Yeah.
like my 2 cents on that.
I think awesome stuff to share. Really well said. I resonate with you on the health and well being stuff. I mean, I've always been somebody who's very active and worked out, 5, 6, 7 days a week and stuff. But over the last year and a half, I realized like how much sugar I'm eating and shit. And, always had a high protein diet and all that stuff. And then I'm like, why, what, my nutrition's like fucked. Like there's so many more things that I could be doing nutrition wise. So I've dedicated to like an all, as much as humanly possible, whole food diet every single day of the week and stuff like that. Blood panels get insanely better. So I will say I only had a soiree with jujitsu for a little bit before I gave it up. So I'll probably have to get back into some of the fighting stuff. But I really, the moral of your story, Frank, is don't move to cities where teams are cheating to win a World Series. That's really what my takeaway was there. You're not an Astros fan, are you? Are you an Astros fan?
Yeah. Not really. I've never
Okay.
been to their game. I've never been to the
Okay.
game, and my apartment high rise I used to live in was right next to the stadium, and I never went to a
Oh
game.
wow.
So,
Okay. Okay.
so